Hey everybody, just wanted to do a quick video, let everybody know I'm still alive. All three of you that follow me. I'm just kidding, I have no idea, it's probably one. Uh, Went to Tampa Bay for a little while to get some sun, recharge the old batteries. And so that was kind of nice, but never moved to Tampa Bay. It's traffic is ridiculous, and I don't know how anybody lives in that town. Um, yeah, I just want to do a quick video, just let you guys know I'm fine, I'm okay, and I'm still alive, still making videos, still debating whether or not I should just do like a podcast or not. I don't know. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Sometimes you get so many things going on, you don't know what the heck to do. I kind of just spin in circles sometimes, and I don't get anything done. And then I'll get sidetracked and look for, oh, look at this new gadget, and then I'm off and I don't get anything done the whole day. But I was thinking about something the other day, and I was kind of apprehensive to put it on video. I didn't know if I wanted to or not, because this is uh, about jobs and what it's like to try to make it in America. We all, I'm 50 years old, so now you know. Talk about dating yourself. I just gave you the date, 50 years. So we all go through kind of the same thing, right? Got to stay in school because got to graduate high school. And you got to graduate high school so you can graduate college, and you got to graduate college so that you can get a good job, and you got to do this and you got to do that. And everybody for a long time has heard those words over and over again. And it used to be in this country that you could come out of high school, and I'm in the state of Michigan, and you could go work for General Motors and provide for your family and do pretty well. You get a pretty good retirement and put some money away. You know, it was a very doable thing. And then, oh, you know, starting in probably the 70s and certainly the 80s, when all this globalization started kicking into high gear, all those jobs started going somewhere else. And for those of you who are younger and don't know, I'm always kind of harping on this. Once you get a little bit older, you have the perspective to look back and realize, man, it was not like that before. It's changed so much. And I have a daughter, she just turned 15, and she's never known anything before 9/11. She was born in 2002, and it just blows my mind. Like, she will never know what it was like just before 9/11, let alone, you know, decades ago. And so when I started, I first started working. My first job, I was 15 years old, and I don't even think I was old enough to work. I think you had to be 16 at the time. But I washed dishes in a nursing home, and that was my first job. And of course, I hated it. I was 15 and I was washing dishes, so of course I didn't like it and didn't stay there very long. But at that time, uh, one day my father left for work and he never came back. And so that was a lot of big changes. High school for me was pretty much over at that point. I tried to stay in school and I tried to finish, but my mother was ill, my father was gone, and we were moving sometimes 4 different high schools in 4 different states in 1 year. You know, 10th grade, 11th grade, that kind of thing. And then my mother died in 1985, and I was all alone, and no high school diploma, nowhere to live. I was about as screwed as one person can. I could use some white privilege at that time because I was screwed. I had no chance to finish high school. Both my parents were gone, and um, I was in a bad way. And so I ended up at um, a job at a what was it? It was a lumber mill. It's really hard work, and I worked there long enough to buy a car. It was a old Chevy Vega, and I remember leaving from there. I had that old. I couldn't afford insurance, of course. So how was I going to afford insurance? Um, and I had, I think, $25 in my pocket, and I was going to go back to Colorado because that's where I had lived. And so, uh, and I was at that time, I think I was 18. So I was literally driving down the road in an old beat up, even back then, this is 1980s, uh, Chevy Vega that was with $25 in my pocket. If I had ran out of gas, I would have just lived on the side of the freeway. I guess I don't know what I would have done, but I made it back to Denver and met up with an old friend and roomed with him and um, started to work and try to survive. And this isn't all about my life history. I'm just trying to give you some perspective on how different it was then. Back then, when you got a job, they expected that when they hired you, that you were going to stay, and you were going to stay for as long as you wanted to stay. They expected you to stay, and they expected you to try to move up and all that stuff. Okay, not like that anymore. Now, when you go into the job, they don't expect you to stay. They actually expect to turn you over. They expect to get your ass in and out, usually as fast as they can, so that they can then hire a new batch and then keep wages low and keep them up and you down. Didn't always used to be that way, but as time has gone on, and the further back you go, usually the better it was. Probably, at its best after World War II, where you can make a living. An average guy can make a living. So, but we all heard the stories about you got to stay in school. Okay, so I wrote a little something, and I'm going to see how this. I wrote it down, so I wouldn't sound robotic when I said it because I didn't know if I was going to be on just audio or what. So I entitled it "What I Wish I Knew in the 1980s." It says, "I, like most people, were lied to so many years ago. We all know the routine: stay in school, go to college, you'll get a good job. I did all that, and against tremendous odds, I was lied to. You see, I was very naive. I thought if you worked hard and was a good person, that good things would happen. I was wrong. I was also afraid that if I did a job like plumber or welder, I felt like a loser because that's what people would say. You didn't go to college, you didn't do. Now, that's not what I think of those professions now. I actually have a lot of respect for that. I really wish I would have kind of did that because I probably would have been making better money. So I changed jobs looking for that good job. You know how we all do. We think that somewhere there's that good job is somewhere. Working with the good people, and that day never came. Needless to say, I had a bunch of jobs. In hindsight, I didn't work for good people. I worked for really shitty people, and then I thought, people who are good at all, who weren't good at all. In fact, it's hard to swallow that the cream rises to the top, so they say, and so does a big turd, if you think of it that way. So I joined the military because you got to go to the military to be able to get the money to go to college, And I went in not because I was. A lot of people go in because they want to be kind of a Captain America kind of guy, or maybe they did it because their father did it or whatever reason they do, and that's all well and good. But I did it so for college money, and that's how way a lot of people do it. But it's funny how you get sucked into the Matrix, right? We all know that reference from the movie The Matrix of this artificial world. It's in the movie. It's literally a computer-generated world. Um, it makes you think and do things that you would never do because you're being manipulated. And you go to work for people, or in other words, you make money for people. Big money for them, no money for you. For people that you will never meet or never see. They're in an office somewhere that you'll probably never even know where it is. I've never met, even known of one person who has ever worked their way to the top. Now, maybe that's just me, but I've never met that person, and I've never known anybody that's known somebody that's done that. And it's almost like it's planned that way because, well, it is planned that way, at least in my opinion. How many of you know that your boss lies to you, right? We all know they do. How many of you know that your boss comes in late, leaves early, he doesn't work harder, he has you work harder? Do you think the CEOs and the politicians work themselves to the top? No, they lie, they steal, they cheat their way to the top. And we all know they do. Yet there's this also this weird thing where you got to work your way to the top. But then empirical evidence says that's not really how it works. You lie, steal, and cheat your way to the top. I worked myself through college. It took a while, but I did it, and I got a bachelor's degree. And after graduation, as I was standing there in commencement, I thought, what a sucker. What a sucker I am. Because at that moment, I had realized that I hadn't changed a damn thing. There wasn't any college grad section of the newspaper, want ads. There was none of that. And the thing that I did for a living was something that I had taught myself, which is IT. So, all the schooling that I had ever had was never worth a damn. Because in the end, the thing that I did that I made money at was something I just taught myself. So I could have, at an early age, just went to the damn library and read, and I'd have been 10 times better off than I am right now. You go to college, you go in debt, you go to college. If you go to college, you better make sure that the thing that you go to college for is the thing you absolutely want to do. Because there is too much debt and too much time and money and too much bullshit indoctrination to go through all that just to find out at the end that it was a waste of time. Guess what? Nobody cares if you have a college degree. They don't care. They just want you to fill a position that they want. They don't care about any of that stuff. Unless you're going to be something like a doctor or a lawyer where you have to do that. But, 90% of us don't do those things. But you see, I feel like I'm pretty successful because I didn't sell out. I didn't, you have a lot of people do. I don't. But a lot of people do have their at-work personality, and then they have their at-home personality. Or in other words, their at-home morals and their at-work morals. Well, I have one. Okay? One consistent one. And it doesn't change just because I go to work. And so, if you're wrong, I'll tell you you're wrong. And I'm not going to go against my morals. I'm not going to go against my moral compass just so I can get a raise or a different position or something. I've just never been able to do that. I never will be able to do that. And it took me a long time to realize that I was really the successful one because I had stayed true to that. And almost everybody that I've ever met in any kind of those positions, they sell out. They're doing things they don't believe in. They're lying. They're morally, they're doing things that they would never do. Why does a salesman, like a car salesman or whatever, why do they make so much money? Because you have to sell out your morals. Because what they're paying you to do is lie your ass off for a bigger paycheck. And I'm not going to do it. And I have a couple friends that are car salesmen. And I don't mean to offend them, but that was just the example. There's other jobs. There's almost all sales jobs require that you be dishonest. It's really that simple. And I don't do sales, and I don't do that. And they hated me for that. My bosses hated me for that because I could not be swayed, I could not be bought, I just wouldn't do it. So the point being that happiness or success is not a job, it's not a place, it's not a place on the beach or a nice car or any of those things. You will drive yourself insane. You'll drive yourself into an early grave. You're going to get sick with stress. If you find yourself jammed up in traffic every single day, you hate your life because you have to go to this job. And I understand that, you got to have money to live. But if you can find a way to change that, even if you have to take less money, it's worth it. Because you will be so unhappy. And stick to your guns. And in the end, okay, at the end of the day, at the end of our lives, all right, it's your spiritual health that's important, right? When it's our time, we're not going to care about where we lived. We're not going to care about what car we drove or any of those things. We're going to be thinking about our family, and we're going to be thinking about God and our spiritual. Did we do the right thing? Did we do what we should have done? And if you can say yes on your final day, I think that's really what it's all about. Because on your last day, if you're laying there and thinking, uh-oh, I messed up. And when I die, when that moment happens, and I'm not here anymore, and I have to go meet God, could you imagine that? Who wants to have that conversation or run in with your Creator and say, oh, well, I wanted a Beamer. I wanted a trophy wife, and I wanted this, Think about that. I don't think that's going to go over too well. And I just wanted to bring that up, especially to the young people. If I am old enough, I can look back and say, look, don't do those things. Don't worry. And I worried a lot about jobs, and I worried about position. I wanted to succeed, and I did succeed in a lot of ways. Like I said, I got my degree. I'm ex-military. I've got a whole list of resume that's pretty impressive, but to me it doesn't mean anything because it really didn't do me any good. I was unhappy the whole time. So be happy. Work on your spiritual life. Work on your spirit. If you do that, you're going to be happy on a day-to-day basis. And whether you live to be 100 years or your time's up next week, you'll be okay. You're going to be okay with that. So I just want to let everybody know I'm okay. Spent a little time in Tampa, and I just wanted to talk about work because so many of us causes so much unhappiness in our lives. And I just don't want you guys to be unhappy. All right? So, work on the spiritual side.